This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Hello, good evening. This is Jacob Rees-Mogg, and I'm in Somerset, where we've had a bit of the snowflakes' revenge today because they've decided to cover the countryside with snow, and I have been hit by snowballs by 3 of my children. So it's a snowy but splendid Somerset, and we'll see if we get snowflakes or stout-hearted Britons calling in later on. But the question we've got is, do you think the Brexiteers have gone soft in the Malthouse Compromise, and should we be more hardline in what we call for? The Malthouse Compromise is one that would ensure free trade and no hard border in Ireland. It would also mean that we had a lengthened implementation period, that we would pay out the money, but that we would have left the European Union. We would be in charge of our own affairs. We wouldn't divide up the United Kingdom, and we wouldn't be potentially in a customs union indefinitely. That's the basis of the Malthouse Compromise, with a fallback if the EU were to refuse the replacement of the current backstop, of basically buying a standstill implementation period, making our current contributions up until the end of 2021 and allowing us time to negotiate a future relationship of an unspecified kind, something that we could discuss in that period, or move to the rules under the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trades, where we wouldn't need to change anything potentially for up to 10 years, again giving time to make things happen more smoothly. Now, I'm one of the Brexiteers who's been willing to go along with that. I've been working with Kit Malthouse and Steve Baker, Nicky Morgan, Robert Buckland and Stephen Hammond to try and work out if there is a way forward that can unite the country and get a deal that everybody can live with. And inevitably this means a bit of give and take on either side, and I'm coming round to the view that if we pay the money but are out of the European Union, that is money worth paying. But we have to be clearly out of the European Union, and we have to be out on the 29th of March. We can't delay the date of departure because, to my mind, that is essentially a way of stopping us leaving altogether. And it's not to say if a bill needed to get through Parliament, you might not be able to hold on for a day or two, but that essentially the agreement has to be done and dusted, and you have to be out, and that's worth, as I say, giving some money for. Now, you know all the numbers, but I'll remind you again. You can call on 0345 6060 973, you can text on 84850, or you can tweet at LBC. And the question, once again, is should people like me be more hardline in the Brexit that we are calling for? Are you worried that this sudden weather has turned me into a snowflake too? Now, our first caller is probably quite used to snow because it's Peter in Bern in Switzerland. Peter, what are your thoughts?
Hello. Well, my thoughts, it's very white and it's very, very snowy, of course, in Somerset as well. My thoughts are exactly this. My mum's Dutch, and I've lived in Holland for 20 years, and I was in Holland when they got a referendum to choose to be in the EU or not in the EU, and they said no, and a few months later, they were in the EU, and the currency changed from guilder to the euro, and I've done a little bit of homework, a little bit of history, and all the pension schemes from the EU ministers is so corrupt and so secret, and it's just one big. It's horrible. And why British people? I love Britain. I love going to the pub. I love playing cricket. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful land. And why people can't see that? It's really, really unbelievable why they can't see that.
So what's your answer to the question? Do you think we should be more hardline, or do you think it's sensible to make a compromise?
Yes, really.
How hardline would you be?
I would be so hardline that I would say no to everything they say, and I would be able to go and lose my mortgage, whatever. I would, just to get my country back from those corrupt people, really.
Look, I'm very keen to get our country back. That's what I've been campaigning for. The reason I'm willing to compromise isn't that I've suddenly gone soft on the EU, but I'm worried that if we don't get a compromise that can get through Parliament, actually 500 out of 650 MPs don't really want us to leave. And that therefore,
I know, but really, look at Britain 40 years ago. Britain was a beautiful country, and there's been so much Labour and new Labour, and they are just fucking up our country.
I'm not sure you're allowed to use language like that on LBC. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off at that point. And if we could keep the language clean, please. And I'm going to go to Aaron in Aberdeen, who is a new caller. Aaron, what is your thought? Do you think we should be more hardline?
I believe you have done very well in trying to remove the backstop from Theresa May's deal. However, I'm concerned that there's a commitment to an invisible border on Ireland when there's no legal requirement in the Good Friday Agreement.
There is the Belfast Agreement, the Good Friday Agreement, is a broad agreement. It doesn't say anything about customs, inevitably, because at that point we were in the European Union. So what is your concern? Are you concerned about that border? Because it seems to me there's no need for a hard border, that there are differences either side of the border already. So what are you getting across today?
My thought is that the hard border is, I think it's being used as a term quite undefined. I think trade posts would be acceptable on the border. It's the backstop and the border issue I'm concerned it will be used to keep the UK hostage and essentially force us to a no deal.
I think you're right. I think the backstop is all about trying to determine the future relationship before we've left in the EU's advantage and potentially hold us in an arrangement that's deeply unsatisfactory and splits up the United Kingdom. And I'm a very committed unionist, and that's why I was actually in Northern Ireland yesterday. I think we need to hold the union together, and the backstop is all about undermining that. And there's no need for customs posts. That's an old-fashioned way of policing borders, that you can do all the arrangements remotely from the border, and you don't need border posts, you don't need men in peaked caps. You can do it remotely with systems that are already in place. Reporting systems, trusted trader schemes, all of this. So I don't think you need that type of hard border. Anyway, thank you for... Sorry, what do you want to say? Please carry on.
I was thinking with regards to immigration and the DUP stipulation that Northern Ireland shouldn't be treated differently. Are you concerned that ports and airports in Northern Ireland will have to pursue more checks than they would in the mainland, so treating Northern Ireland slightly differently in that sense?
No, I'm not, because there's the common travel area in Ireland that covers the whole of the island, and if people want to come and work in the UK illegally, they'll be able to come in on a tourist visa and try and do it that way, and they might as well come through Heathrow as think they can go Dublin, Belfast, and then into London through that route, or Liverpool, or whichever way they go. So no, I'm not worried that the common travel area leads to a back door for illegal immigration. I think there are easier ways of doing it if that's what you choose to do. But thank you for calling. Thank you for your first call to LBC. I hope you'll call again. I'm now going to go to Elizabeth in Wimborne, Dorset. Elizabeth, hello.
Hello there. Good evening.
Good evening.
I am a Conservative and a committed Brexiteer. I really feel proud to be British. I just wish our government was as proud as I am. And I believe that we should be assertive in our arguments and ask for the best, which is, to me, a free trade deal with no tariffs and quotas, no need for a backstop. And I just do not understand why we haven't asked for better terms. It's just beyond me.
Well, I agree with you, but what I'm asking tonight is whether you think people like me have gone soft in trying to seek a compromise, the Malthouse Compromise, or whether you feel, which is my reason for doing it, that we need to be out on the 29th of March, and if we're to get that through Parliament, we have to have a little bit of give as well as take. Well, what's your thought on that?
I do agree that compromise is good. Unfortunately, I just don't believe that they've got that mindset. I think that we have given so much when we didn't need to.
That's a really important question. How obdurate is the European Union? How much are they going to refuse to give us anything?
I think if we'd gone in with this mindset at the beginning, we might have a different outcome. But I think they are so ticked off that we've actually said no in Parliament that I just can't see that they're going to be reasonable now. I wish that weren't true. But I think we have to believe in Britain, believe that we can do it, and just stick to our convictions. And that's all I just don't know, other than that, what we can do. Except leave with no deal on WTO and hope, that we can get a free trade deal further down the line.
My worry with that is that we won't get there because Parliament is so opposed to it. And you saw with the Yvette Cooper amendment last week, or earlier this week, that was trying to stop Brexit, basically. And we've got to get away from that, which is why I am willing to pay the $39 billion of other people's money to get us out. But Andy has tweeted he doesn't agree with that. He says, yes, anything which weakens our position is worrying. Paying $39 billion is too much, especially for a compromise. And Mandy broadly agrees with him. There should be no compromise. The people were asked to decide. We voted leave. The government should abide by that decision. Brexiteers know what leave means, and that is what we should do. A real Brexiteer should be leading negotiations. Well, I agree with that. And on that happy note, you're listening to Jacob Rees-Mogg on LBC. It is now 6:15, and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
The mother of a 3-year-old girl has become the first person in the UK to be found guilty of female genital mutilation. The Trump administration's confirmed the US is withdrawing from a key nuclear treaty with Russia from tomorrow because of violations by Moscow. Downing Street's criticising the EU for describing Gibraltar as a colony of the British Crown in an official document. LBC weather: more snow this evening for eastern England, northern Scotland and parts of Northern Ireland. Clearer elsewhere, a low of -4.
LBC Travel, I'm Katie Tyler. Problems continue because of the bad weather at Heathrow and Luton airports. There are cancellations and delays to flights. In Surrey, it's stationary on the A3 in both directions between Hindhead and Milford, and it's queuing on the A31 between Farnham and Guildford. In other travel news, there are queues on the M11 for around an hour southbound between junction 5 for Loughton and 4 for Woodford after an accident. And it's looking slow now on the M25 clockwise approaching junction 25 for Enfield. That's after a breakdown earlier.
LBC.
How are you? How are you really? Modern life can be busy, and sometimes it's easier to look after others before looking after yourself. But there's only one you. And making small changes to your lifestyle now could improve your chances of staying healthier longer. So take the first step to a healthier you with our free How Are You quiz. See how you score and get personalised tips and support, from how to eat a little healthier to turning a 10-minute walk into exercise. Just search One You.
Isn't it reassuring to know that when you're looking to remortgage, you don't have to rejig your routine? That's why at Barclays we offer evening and weekend appointments. It means you get to talk to us when it works best for you. Morning or evening. We're refreshing and reshaping the way we do mortgages to make them easier. Search Barclays Mortgages. Let's go forward. T's and C's apply.
The perfect home close to central London. Discover Forbury in Blackheath, Barclays' brand new development of 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments and 4 bedroom houses. Just 13 minutes to London Bridge by train. Prices start from £530,000 for an apartment. Visit our brand new 4 bedroom show home, now open. Arrange a viewing at forbury-blackheath.co.uk.
Helen was so scared of the dentist that she put up with dental pain and loose and missing teeth for years.
My teeth really did hurt.
TDC's experienced implant team has helped hundreds of people like Helen to get a full set of fixed teeth implants in just 1 day. The teeth remain in place for 3 months when they're exchanged for a final set.
It was 30 years since I've bitten into an apple. Now I just bite to my heart's content. Celery, love it.
If you're living with missing or painful teeth, get your smile back in a day. Just come and talk to us. For a free consultation, visit smileinaday.co.uk.
Smile in a day, TDC. Go anywhere, do anything, we've got you covered. 5 years warranty, 3 years free servicing and 5 years roadside assistance on the entire Jeep range, including the all-new Wrangler. And from only £169 per month and 0% APR on the Jeep Compass. Jeep, born to be wild. 5 years or 75,000 miles warranty. Finance offer available on Compass 1.4 Longitude, 37-month term. Customer deposit £7,906. Optional final payment £10,906. 15,000 miles per annum. PCP sales until 31st of March 2019. Subject to status. T's and C's apply. Jeep Financial Services.
Colour crisis? Mix it with B&Q. Valspar V700 5-litre wall and ceiling paint is £45. We can mix 2,000 pre-selected colours or colour match an item you bring into store. So for brilliant paint products and everyday low prices, you can do it when you B&Q it. Available in store only. See DIY.com for details.
Jacob Rees-Mogg on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Well, welcome back. The crackling you can hear in the background is the fire which we need today to try and stop the snowflakes taking over completely. But we're discussing the question of whether you think the Brexiteers have gone soft with the Malthouse Compromise and whether we should be more hardline in the Brexit we're demanding. Yesterday I was in Belfast. I went to speak for the DUP, who the European Research Group that I chair have worked very closely with on all these issues and are very robust in their view of Europe, and of course particularly on the question of the Irish border, which is of immediate relevance and importance to them. And we've now got a caller in Belfast. Matthew, would you like to come on? I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this subject.
Well, basically I think what they've taken is a circumstantial stance, in which what I mean by that is, due to the nature of the circumstances that we find ourselves in, with Parliament being very rigid in their voting on Brexit, I think that we do need to make some concessions in order to actually get Brexit through. And I think that maybe some of the set-out terms that we initially had planned have to be deviated away from in order to get Brexit through.
So what compromises would you be willing to make? Where do you think compromise should come from?
Well, I think on the issue of the border, I think that it could be a little bit softer than we initially planned it out to be. I think that some of the EU jurisdiction in which they have control over the laws in Northern Ireland, because of its complicated nature, I think that we can give some leeway in that circumstance.
But would you accept different laws in Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom in relation to the EU, or would that be a sticking point for you? Because it would be for a lot of unionists.
Yeah, well, I think that would be the sticking point, but at the same time, I think that jurisdiction doesn't necessarily extend to the laws made. I think that the EU can have certain jurisdiction because of the nature of the island of Ireland, that they can sort of control Northern Ireland to a certain extent in terms of its trade with Ireland.
And that's the sort of compromise you would make. Were you a Leaver in the first place, or were you a backer of Remain?
No, I was a Leaver.
You're a Leaver. Yeah. I'm very grateful. That's very helpful, because as I've been involved in this compromise, it's very reassuring to know that there are some people who think that's the right thing to be doing. Alistair has sent me a text who doesn't think that. He says, Jacob, you've gone soft. I don't want compromise. The EU are just making it tough for us and making an example of our country. And that's always been a problem, that if the EU wants a punishment Brexit, we must stand up to it. We must never give way to a punishment Brexit, because if you give in to bullies, you find that they will bully you again in future. But Sam, in Fulham, what are your views? Do you think the Brexiteers should be more hardline and we've gone soft, or do you think we should be willing to compromise?
First of all, good evening, Jacob. I am a very, very big fan. Not only because you're always very eloquent when you speak, but I think that the Parliament, it really does miss people who are accurate in what they're saying and they understand the detail. And I think you're very good at communicating that to anyone who's listening on Leave or Remain side. They understand where you stand and how you decipher what's actually going on for Joe Public. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your compliment.
Yeah. In terms of what I think it's perhaps because you are sitting in Parliament day in, day out, and therefore you understand the minutiae of how votes will get passed and all the rest of it. Clearly, your compromise is based on arithmetic and understanding how the dynamics work. But I think from the outside, I think the mood of the country, at least from the people that I speak in my universe, and I'm living in London and also in Germany, is that people want us to show a bit more backbone and stop diluting everything all the time. I mean, I worry the most because if we were to extend it in any way, shape or form, I think what will probably happen is we'll get another document of 600 pages for, just to understand what's happened for an extension of 3 months, for example, and we'll find ourselves just digging deeper and deeper into staying in, and that's what I'm most concerned about.
Well, I think you're right. I think you're right to worry about this, and I think there is a disconnect between politicians and the general public in this area. I think people do feel we should be tougher. Unfortunately, the parliamentary arithmetic is very, very difficult, and that if people like me aren't willing to compromise with the Remainers who genuinely accept the result. Lots of Remainers say they accept the result, but don't. But some Remainers, quite a number, in Parliament have accepted the result and feel that in good faith it must be implemented. And I feel that if we don't work with them and give some leeway to them, we may find that they manage to get a law through delaying, and delay is effectively stopping Brexit. So that's why I've been willing to compromise. But I recognise what you say, that people outside Westminster just want us to get on with it and leave on the 29th of March.
I have a question for you.
Far away.
So it's probably a ridiculous one, but with regards to Northern Ireland, I mean, why did we flip it on its head? Now, on the one hand, it's our country. It's part of our country. They are very proud people, and obviously, it's a matter of 39 billion at the same time being played into the conversation. Why not sort of say to the European Union, if they allow the Northern Irish to essentially vote for it, if they wanted to have a referendum, which if they ended up saying, okay, we want to go, essentially unify Ireland and stay in the EU, then the European Union would, as a penalty, pay us a large amount of money. Let's call it 100 billion for the pleasure, and that sort of makes sure that we don't hold the Northern Irish, if they want it, hostage to what the rest of the United Kingdom wants. But I know the danger, of course, is then the Scottish will ask for the same thing.
Yes,
it's just.
I'd be cautious about doing that. I wouldn't want to sell Northern Ireland for a mess of pottage. I think they're so much part of our country. And gosh, it was wonderful.
But I did say that.
Yeah, indeed. No, but it was wonderful being with the DUP last night. I was at their dinner, and they end the dinner with everybody standing up and singing the national anthem. Their patriotism is something to behold and really very impressive. So I think their desire to remain part of our country is one that I agree with. I feel Northern Ireland is an integral part of our nation and shouldn't be treated differently. But thank you for calling, and thank you for your very kind words at the beginning. I'm now going to go to Gus in New Barnet. And Gus, I think you're calling for the first time.
I am indeed, yeah. I'm pleased to meet you, talk to you, Mr. Rees-Mogg,
thank you.
On live radio. I do find it quite interesting that you do want to accept the compromise, the Malthouse compromise, on the basis that you've been quite a hard line, and a man of integrity as you are, I quite find it. I wouldn't say. I know you want to do this because of party unity, or is it because you feel it's something the country deserves? I mean, I don't really like handing over 39 billion, which equates to £2,000 of my income, and giving it to you to the bureaucrats of Europe. With the greatest of respect, I do. I understand. Do you hear it from what we're saying here?
Oh, I completely understand. I don't want to do that, but I've come to the conclusion that what I most want is to leave the European Union, and that if there's a payment for that, it will be a good investment, because once we're free of the European Union, we will be able to flourish. Our economy will be set according to our own rules. It's an enormous opportunity, and that if the one way to ensure that Parliament votes for a deal is to spend that money, that taxpayers' money, then that is in our interest. I would much rather keep the money and much rather just leave without a deal, but I don't think Parliament is going to vote for that. And so I'm trying to deal with the reality rather than what I would wish for, and that's why I've been willing to compromise. But I think your criticism is absolutely fair.
I just find it quite frustrating, and I think probably a lot of the UK do find it frustrating that 2/3 of our Parliament are probably going to vote against what the will of the people is, and that's probably the reason why you're trying to get
you're spot on.
cross-party alliances.
You're absolutely right.
I think if we hold out, I do believe that they will cave in eventually. They're a weak bunch. Don't think they're tough. They're a weak bunch, and I think we can get something going. Just need a little bit more metal, and just if you can hold on a few more weeks, I do believe you'll get what we really want in the end. And I don't want to leave without with a hard Brexit, but I think we could get something along the lines of what we deserve at the end.
It's just a balance, really, of whether you think that risking not having any Brexit is worth £39 billion, and I would rather spend £39 billion than take a risk of no Brexit. That's what it comes down to the end. But thank you. I think your criticism is very valid, and we all need a bit of titanium in our spines from time to time, and the British electorate, the British voter, is very strong-minded, and I think sometimes the politicians ought to imitate the voters a bit more. We've had some very interesting text. Julian has texted to say Mrs May has only gone back to the EU to tinker with the backstop, which the EU has rejected 2 minutes after the vote. What makes you think they will agree to the Malthouse Compromise? Good question. If they don't, it just shows how foolish they are. And Robert's on my side. Robert tweets, you are right to seek compromise. It is essential we leave on or near the 29th of March. The EU seek control, and no deal means no control. But now you're listening to Jacob Rees-Mogg on LBC, and as news comes first at 6:30, it's time to go over to Lisa Aziz.
A mother from Walthamstow in East London has become the first person in the UK to be found guilty of FGM. The 37-year-old assaulted her daughter in the summer of 2017. Her 43-year-old partner has been cleared of all charges. The US will start withdrawing from a key arms treaty made with Russia in 1987 from tomorrow. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says Moscow's in breach of the deal, banning some ground-launched missiles, which was a major step in the winding down of the Cold War. Hazardous ice and further snow flurries are forecast to cause more travel disruption tonight and into the weekend. After more than 1,000 school closures and many flight and rail delays today, a yellow Be Aware warning is in place for much of England, Wales, Northern Scotland and Northern Ireland until lunchtime tomorrow. LBC weather, more snow this evening then for Eastern England, Northern Scotland and parts of Northern Ireland, clearer elsewhere, a low of -4.
This is LBC.
You're on a roll, and life keeps rolling with you. You're rushing, you're moving, you're grooving, you're running late, you're gymming, you're swimming, you're meditating. And you're walking, you're talking, you're working, not working, and texting, you're simply unstoppable. And unstoppable shouldn't have to stop to enjoy great food. With Uber Eats, you could order food from your favourite restaurants and have it delivered right to your doorstep. Uber Eats. Get food delivered wherever life takes you. Download the app today. Available at selected times in selected locations.
There are two types of people in this world. Those that wait and those that do. This is for the doers. You know that luck isn't found, it's made. And here at Esme, we know that good things come to those who go and get them. That's why our business loans are simple and easy to arrange, so you can seize every day. Apply today. Search Esme Loans. Eligibility criteria and fees apply.
Escape the 9 to 5 and run away together on a luxurious celebrity cruise ship, just the two of you. Swap this for this, and this for this. Book in-store with the cruise experts at TUI now, and the second guest pays half the cruise fare. Plus, we'll even include a free classic drinks package. TUI. We cross the T's, dot the I's, and put you in the middle. Offer available on selected European and Arabian Gulf sailings. T's and C's apply. At or protected.
Will my travel be affected when we leave the EU?
What about documents for driving? Will mobile roaming change?
Should I check my travel insurance?
You might also have questions about how leaving the EU on the 29th of March will affect you.
Find guidance and up-to-date information at gov.uk/EU exit.
Singing along to the radio? Sorry to disturb you while you're loving life. But did you know with Co-op Funeral Care, you can plan and pay for your funeral in advance? Our unique Co-op commitment means we promise to cover the cost of your chosen funeral plan, even if you die before you've paid in full. And now you'll get £125 off by quoting Radio 19. So, sort your funeral plan today. Buy online, over the phone, or in your local Co-op Funeral Care. Offer ends 14th of April. For T's and C's, see coop.co.uk/125.
When you buy the award-winning Alfa Romeo Giulia or the Stelvio Performance SUV, you can pretend it's for the 5-year warranty, the 3 years free servicing, 5 years roadside assistance, or the 5 years 0% APR. But the real reason is, you just want an Alfa Romeo. Start something beautiful. Visit alfaromeo.co.uk.
5 years or 75,000 miles warranty. Minimum 35% customer deposit. 60 months term. HP sales until the 31st of March 2019. Subject to status. T's and C's apply. Alfa Romeo Financial Services.
This is LBC with Jacob Rees-Mogg. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Well, welcome back, and thank you for continuing to listen. We're getting lots of calls and tweets on the topic we're discussing tonight, which is whether you think the Brexiteers, like me, have gone soft with the Malthouse Compromise, and whether we need to stiffen our sinews, summon up the blood, and imitate the action of a tiger. We're also interested, if you've got any thoughts on Monsieur Juncker's view, or his spokesman's view, that we should pay the money regardless, give them $39 billion, whether we come to a deal or not. Frankly, I think that's for the birds, but I'd be interested if anybody there from the European Commission might like to call in and say why we should give them lots of taxpayers' money for nothing. Many texts. Jack has texted to say, I think if we want out, we should be reaching a compromise, because the longer it takes, the more people will become unrest and settle for anything. We voted to leave, let's get it done with. And Jackie